Hello, ladies. It is Coach Steph. Super excited about this live today. Y'all, if you are watching the replay, hashtag replay, and let me know that you're watching. I am going to be talking today about self-discipline, right? So I have been really thinking about this topic because it's something that I definitely it's a virtue that I really respect. So I value self-discipline, and I'm going to be sharing this with y'all in a minute. I heard this, it's a podcast, and I'm going to share the link with y'all later. I actually think I did share it on my profile page and on my Facebook, in my Facebook group. So I hope y'all listen to it, but I'm going to drop the podcast after this. Listen to the podcast, y'all. It's so good. It's by the Life Coach School, and it's a discussion about self-discipline. So I'm going to be referencing that, but I want to have a real discussion with you guys about self-discipline in your health journey, what that looks like. So as you're hopping on, let me know that you're hopping on. Fun fact, last week I tried to go live, and literally I was trying to go live on my profile page and in my Facebook group, and it didn't even show. It was on self-sabotage. So I'm going to redo that at some point. So yeah, that's what happened with that last week. Hey y'all, I see some people hopping on. Hey Stephanie. Uh-oh. Yes, discipline. Okay, Tawana, I got your message too. Yes, I'm just a little bit tardy today. Thank you for always showing up though. D, Kathy, Kendra, Stephanie. All right, y'all. So self-discipline. So I asked this question: what makes it hard? Makes self-discipline hard? And I got some really good answers, and I'm gonna actually be sharing with y'all today. I'll pull up my notes, and I'm gonna get started. So, if you feel like you have trouble with self-discipline, put me in the chat. I want to know. And if you feel like you don't have a problem with self-discipline, just put no. So if you're like, yes, me, I have a problem with self-discipline, put me in the chat. If you feel like you're a pretty self-disciplined person, put no. And I just want to see how many people who watch this identify as self-discipline versus don't identify with being, or identify with being self-disciplined, or who doesn't, right? Let's see. I'm actually able to see the comments today, y'all. Facebook is doing good today. Y'all let me know. So yes or no. I'm gonna wait till a couple of answers come in. Wanted to let y'all know in the meantime, there are 3 ways that you can work with me. So I'm going to reiterate this at the end too, but 3 ways you can work with me if you have been wanting some help in your fitness journey. Number 1, I am still taking my Fitness Pal makeover. So if you want your macros, your exact calories, your a 6-month blueprint of what you should be doing. This is a one-time call. You also get a video series from me about my Fitness Pal and how to weigh, how to properly measure your food in my Fitness Pal, things like that. You can sign up for that. There is a 30-day mind and body reboot you can also sign up for as well. This is a mindset coupled with some nutrition guidance. This is a 30-day course. Inside of my coaching app, you actually get what am I trying to say? Messaging privileges with me throughout that 30 days. So that is another way you can work with me. And then you can always get on the wait list to join the Fit Figure Formula. So we are in week 7. Yesterday we had our week 7 call, mindset, and I went over affirmations and how to build affirmations on the affirmation spectrum. So if you want to join the 16-week program and get coaching for the long term, your transformation, then that is the option that you'd want to pick, right? So my Fitness Pal makeover, 30-day mind and body reboot, and then a 16-week Fit Figure Formula coaching. You can get on the wait list for that. And I will drop the link. Let me see if I can drop the link now. Let me see. let me see. Paste. Yay. Okay, I just dropped the link in case anybody wants to check it out. All right, so we have, Kendra says me. Renee says me, no. All right, so I would say, like myself, I would identify myself as a self-disciplined person. And even if I wasn't exhibiting self-disciplined behavior at the moment, I still know that I have the ability and I have the tenacity to be self-disciplined in anything. And actually, I was just thinking about this in terms of like money, because I hate the word budget. Like, I do not like the word budget. I don't want to be put on no budget. Like, we're trying to like micromanage my finances, all of that. I don't like that. But if you tell me a financial plan, I'm like, yes, I like that, right? That the connotation is like, you're just being a good steward of your resources, and I like that, right? So I think that that's kind of how I liken it. Like, if you really think that self-discipline is something that is good, or if you feel like it's like restrictive, right? So for me, I find it empowering to identify as self-discipline. So when we talk about sorry, I don't know why I'm getting so discombobulated today. When we talk about self-discipline, we really are talking about thought management. Okay, so when we think about ourselves, self-discipline, our goals, the choices that we're making to get to our goals, right? We have to think about, how much time are you spending thinking on purpose? How much time are you spending practicing becoming the person that you want to be, right? Are we going to wake up and be self-disciplined one day? No. We literally have to wake up and decide every day. And I want you guys to practice this. So this is a little bit of homework, okay? So after watching this live, I want you tomorrow, or just someday this week, right? I want you to wake up one day this week and decide that you will pretend that you are already her. You are already the woman that you want to be. You already have the goals that you want. You're living the life that you want, and pretend like you're her. So for me, I knew that I was going to have to wake up early. Me waking up late, being rushed to work, or to put my kids in the car to take them to school, wasn't setting me up to be my best self, right? It wasn't setting me up to be the person that I wanted to be, because as soon as I got up, I was immediately reactive, right? And I didn't feel like I was my highest and best self. So I want you to pick one day that you will pretend that you are that highest and best person. So for me, it's waking up earlier, and I've been doing this so good lately. Waking up earlier, getting my workout in, doing my mindset work, because I still do mindset work. I'm not like working on a fitness journey per se, but I definitely create time every day to think on purpose. And I created this. It's so crazy, y'all. I've been, having my vision board and journaling for quite some time, and I literally wrote out my best day, right? Everything that I'm getting to do right now, I literally wrote this. And this is when I was working at a job that I hated. I would do anything, any excuse that I could find not to go to work. Y'all, it was too cold one day, and I was a consultant, so I had a flexible schedule. I'm getting all off track, but I'm just telling you. And I was at work, and I was like, it's too cold. Like, it was just so cold in there, I could not think. And I was like, I'm going to be back tomorrow. I'm like, I'm just going to come back tomorrow, you guys. And I just was like, any excuse that I could get to come back home, because I hated that job, I made an excuse, right? So I said all that to say that when you think on purpose, things can change, right? So you can't just think, right? You have to actually be aligned, and we're going to talk about that alignment in a little bit. So how much time are you thinking on purpose? right? How much time are you spending managing your thoughts? How much time are you spending practicing being the person that you want to be? I gave you homework. One day this week, I want you to wake up and just pretend like you're already her. What is she thinking? What kind of habits does she have? What kind of people does she have around her? What kind of words come out of her mouth? Like, I want you to pretend like you're already her, right? And start practicing being in that energy. That is really important, okay? So we're going to kind of break down self-discipline into 3 parts, okay? So we're going to break it down into the planning or preparation phase, the impulse control. It's not really a phase, but these are the 3 things that you need to manage: planning and prepping, impulse control, right? And then your identity. So when you are preparing for your day or you're planning for your day, first of all, are you preparing and planning for your day? It's really important that you are living on purpose, y'all. Think about how many days you just get up with the alarm clock, you go and you brush your teeth, you use the bathroom, you cook dinner or cook breakfast, you know, you're rushing out the door to go to work, and you're just literally reacting to everything that comes at you. And you're doing really nothing on purpose, right? So we have to really prepare for our day. Even if right now you're not in the situation that you want to be in life, you have to wake up with the mentality of the person that you want to be, and how would the person that you want to be deal with this uncomfortable situation that I'm in right now, right? So thinking about, how can I prepare for my day? How can I plan and be intentional? How can I think about who I want to be, how I want to show up? This is so important because a lot of us avoid thinking, y'all. And we are avoiding making decisions. And making decisions is just thinking. We're literally not thinking. We're literally just reacting to other people's demands. So are you planning and preparing your day? Are you planning for the obstacles and the resistance? Because when you decide to change your lifestyle, you will come up against resistance. Plan for it. Expect the resistance. Resistance looks like procrastination, distracting yourself, that dread or just like not wanting to do the things, like, oh, it's time to work out. And you feel like, like there's some energetic resistance. You don't really want to go do it. Plan for that. Acknowledge it when it shows up. Don't just ignore it. That's a real energy in your body. Like, I'm kind of like dreading this today. And one thing that I do every time, and this works every time. Sometimes, like, I don't really want to go to the gym, but if I can get to the gym, right? If I can just I'm not even worried about what I'm going to do, how long I'm going to stay. If I can just get to the gym, I'm going to be good. Why? Because I ask myself this one powerful question. How can I make progress anyway? Even if I don't want to be here, right? I'm thinking myself. So when you ask yourself questions, this is something that I teach my clients. Questions are the answer. When you ask yourself powerful questions, the part of your brain that is responsible for your critical thinking, for figuring stuff out, starts to figure stuff out because you asked a question. If you just say, I don't know, your brain's done thinking about that, right? So we got to plan, we got to prepare, we have to expect the resistance, to prepare for the resistance, prepare for not wanting to go to the gym. It's coming. It's okay. Take that resistance with you to the gym, right? Take it on with you. Just put it on your back and just go anyway, right? Because we do the same thing with work, right? We do the same thing. We don't want to go to work, but guess what? We take that resistance and we go to work anyway because we got to get that paycheck, right? Plan and prepare for your obstacles. So understand what that looks like, what that feels like. Practice doing that, right? Set your intentions, right? This is part of planning and preparing. You have to set your intention. And I'm a big proponent of writing it down. If you have been stuck and you be like, okay, I'm going to go work out 3 times a week, 3 times a week, 3 times a week. And every week you're not making your goal. Have you written it down? Have you gotten specific enough? Are you just saying, oh yeah, I'm going to go 3 times? Or Are you saying Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 a.m.? This is the time I'm going, right? Are you planning and are you preparing? So that is the first part. Like, and part of that is also like knowing what you really want, like knowing what you want to accomplish, getting really clear on the specific actions that it's going to take, and planning and preparing for that. Planning and preparing for the resistance that might come up. Let me look at the chat and see if I'm missing anything. Let's see. Hey, Lakia, agree. An intentional fitness plan is purposeful. Thank you. You're welcome. I laid in the bed this morning planning my day and received a phone call that threw a boomerang into my plans. That happens sometimes, and that's okay. I like that. Take the resistance to the gym. Sorry I'm late. Hey, hi, Erica. Yes, so take the resistance with you to the gym. Okay, so that's the first part. Then the second part is impulse control. And in the podcast that I was mentioning earlier, she talks about this, and this is so good. So this is kind of where I'm getting this from. Practicing controlling your impulse. So when you have made your plan and you are prepared, right? And then somebody calls you and throws a wrench in your plans. And when it's not mandatory, right? Like sometimes things happen and you have to push your agenda to the side. But let's say it's not something that's mandatory. Maybe you have planned your meals and somebody says, hey, I brought a cake. Do you want some? Right? And so practicing controlling your impulse. An impulse is something like a quick decision that you make without like thinking it through too much, right? So we have to practice controlling our impulse so that we don't fall into old habits, because the habits that you have right now, they're kind of on autopilot, right? A habit is something that you don't have to think too much about. An intention or a practice is something that you have to actually put effort into doing. So you have to practice controlling that impulse so that you're not going back into old habits. So think of impulse control as a skill that you can learn, right? Think of self-discipline as a skill that you can learn, and don't have like a fixed mindset about it. So for a fixed mindset would be like, I'm not self-disciplined. And then you wipe your hands and then go on like that was just it. No, what if I approach self-discipline as if I could learn the skill of managing my thoughts and managing my impulses so that I can make great choices in the moment? What if we thought of it in that way instead of just saying is either yes or no? It's I'm self-disciplined or not, and I can't ever grow that skill, right? So again, when you're thinking about self-discipline, thinking about planning and preparing, and then managing your impulse control in the moment, because your brain will want to go back to what it always does. The old habits that you have, the places that you go, the things that you order off of DoorDash, like all of those things, it's going to want to go back to the path of least resistance, because you're going to come up against resistance when you're trying to change a habit. Expect the resistance, right? Okay. I'm just checking the chat. So is this making sense, y'all? Let me know. So the third one is identity. And this is really, really, really big. And in the podcast that I mentioned earlier, she also talks about this as well. You have to shift your identity. So I always use the example of an athlete, right? An athlete trains. There's no question. There's no negotiation. There's no questioning like if I'm going to train because I'm an athlete, that's just what I do, right? And what she says, which I thought was so brilliant, when you take the negotiation out of it, there's no suffering. So when it's time to wake up in the morning, but you sit there and you negotiate and you're like, oh, I'm tired. Well, 5 more minutes. Let me hit the snooze, right? And you're like stuck in this like space of not wanting to, but needing to, but you're kind of comfortable, right? And the longer you stay there, that is suffering. But if you literally just got up and just started, there would be no suffering. The example that she gives in the podcast is brushing your teeth, right? Like no one is just super excited to do that, but you never question that. It's just like, okay, I get up, I use the bathroom, I brush my teeth. And there's no if, ands, or buts. Like there's not like this tug of war because you've already decided ahead of time, like this is just what I do. Right? And I asked a question, and I'm actually going to read these. Okay. I asked a question on my profile page. What makes it hard to stay disciplined in your health journey? And this is what a few of you said. So it says access to Cinnabons, chips, hot bar, and lemonade with chewy ice. Someone said getting started is the hardest part. Someone said consistency. Someone said scale watching. If I put on a half a pound, I feel deflated. Watching others eat bad food. Let's see. So a lot of y'all said stress. The taste of healthy food deters me. Texas, life stress, right? Getting up early to work out. So here's the thing. A lot of what you guys said was external. And it's like if you allow external circumstances to decide who you are, then yeah, you'll always just be reacting to your circumstance or to your environment. But what if you decided, like, this is what I'm doing because this is who I am, and the circumstance didn't matter. You didn't allow the circumstance to dictate whether or not you were going to do something. So, for example, if you've ever been a smoker or if you know smokers, right? Like I see people outside smoking all the time. And it's like, it don't matter if it's hot outside. It don't matter if it's cold outside. It don't matter what's going on. You can leave church, go outside and smoke. Like if you are a smoker, you're going to go and smoke, right? And the circumstance, the environment, it doesn't matter as much because one thing you're going to do is go smoke, right? Because you're a smoker. So I used this example before too, like if there are two smokers, and they're both trying to quit smoking, right? And one person, like person A is offered a cigarette and they say, no thanks, I'm trying to quit smoking. Person 2 is offered a cigarette and they say, no thanks, I'm not a smoker, right? They're no longer identifying as a smoker. They're not someone who is a smoker but who's trying to quit, right? They have adopted the identity of like, that's not what I do. And in the podcast, what she says is, if you're a person, like I don't smoke, right? So if somebody were to come up to me and ask me, do I want to smoke? Do I want a cigarette? I'm like, no, right? Because I'm not a smoker, right? The example that she gives is if you don't do drugs, right? If you don't do drugs, there's no negotiation. Like, should I do it? Should I not? No, I don't do that. That in the circumstance, it doesn't matter if everybody around me is doing it. I don't do that. So I'm not tempted to do that, right? So with food, obviously, it's a little bit different because we can smell food. And it's not that we can't have it. I think sometimes we think, too, I'm not self-disciplined if I have the cake. And that also is not true. Because in my mind, if I have a piece of cake or I love cheesecake, I love margaritas, that doesn't make me not disciplined. And you can never tell me that I'm not disciplined because it's right here. It's a mentality, right? It doesn't matter. The circumstance doesn't matter. I could be having a plate of nachos right here. You can't tell me anything. I know for me, I'm self-disciplined. So it's more of a mentality of who you think you are. And that is going to drive how you act. Does this making sense, y'all? Let me know. Let me check the chat. Agreed. I think I already read that. Take the negotiation out of it. Yes, just do what I do. Yeah, and once you start, Mel Robbins says to literally count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And on 1, your body, you just move your body and you go. So think about like when you're in the bed negotiating with yourself. When that moment when you decide, okay, let me get up. There's like 5 seconds afterwards where you're just like, ugh. But after that, it's like, you're good. You're fine. As soon as you get out of the negotiation phase, right? Okay, Erica says, agree, makes a lot of sense, makes sense. Okay, cool. Yes, I am glad it makes sense. Okay. So we talked about preparing and planning. We talked about impulse control and practicing. Controlling the impulse to make a decision. So that means you got to pause. That means you got to think. You got to self-coach. You got to think about what you want most, not what you want right now. What do I want most? Is this going to help me get to my goal that I want most, or is this just going to be convenient for me right now? And then your identity. So a lot of you mentioned things that are outside of yourself, instead of thinking about who do I want to be and who am I, right? And making your decisions based off of that, not based off your circumstances, right? So really, you're making it optional. You're making it optional to be this fit person that you want to be. You're making it optional based on your circumstances. And do you want to take care of your body optionally, depending on the circumstance? So I think someone said like the seasons, so during the wintertime, she don't want to go because she wants to be in the house. But then in the summertime, well, it's fun time. So you want to go out and you want to drink and you want to go to happy hour. So it's like you're letting literally the environment determine who you show up as. And do you want to do that, right? You get to decide that. So do not negotiate. Decide who you are and then show up as that, right? Are you using willpower? So she talked about willpower as well in the podcast, which is so good because willpower is using resistance to like stop doing the thing. So for example, I'll go back to my example about the smokers. The person who is saying, no thanks, I'm trying to quit smoking. They're using willpower. They're using resistance. They're still identifying as this person who smokes, but they're saying no right now. And willpower will give out. Willpower will have you doing it sometimes and then not doing it sometimes, right? So if you're using resistance, if you're using force, if you're using, you're trying so hard to not eat the cupcake, right? You're using willpower, and that willpower is going to give out instead of embodying this person who takes really good care of my body. And so sometimes I'll like, have you ever been on a journey, right? You're eating well, and then you come across a temptation and you eat the temptation. And you're like, man, that wasn't even as good as I thought it was. It wasn't even like worth it. Have y'all ever had that happen before? It wasn't even worth it. And so I think about it sometimes like that. I'll just be like, you know what? I'm going to have that. Then my stomach's going to hurt. Like, I'm not going to feel well. I'm going to be sleepy afterwards. Like, I start thinking about why it's not worth it. Are you thinking about why it's not worth it? Are you thinking about who you want to be? Are you thinking about your identity and who you want to show up as more than, oh, this is going to be so good? Because normally as soon as you eat the thing, like if you're maybe you've already had your treat meal for the week and you know you're overdoing it or overindulging in something, it's never really worth it at the end. You always feel like, man, I shouldn't have did that. Right? Think about that. Think about that pain before you do it. And think about your goals, right? And think more about who you want to be, right? So, again, just to recap, preparation and planning, impulse control, and then identity. Who do you want to be and who do you want to show up as, and practice showing up as her. So how do we start becoming this person? We got to get clear on our goals, first of all, right? And think about, are you building you on purpose? The you that you have right now is just a culmination of all of the previous decisions that you have made. Your mindset, your body type, like, it's just a product. This is the end product that you've created. Ta-da! You get to decide, do I like that? Or do I want to create something else? Have I been unintentional with what I created? Is this just showed up because I just made a whole bunch of mindless decisions and I was just reacting to life? Or am I making this person on purpose, right? Are you the kind of person that eats with intention? I'm eating on a for a purpose, right? Like I'm doing this for a result. And the result isn't always like necessarily weight loss. It might just be to feel good. It might just be to have energy. It might be to show up as a person that you want to show up as, right? Are you the type of person who keeps commitments to yourself? That means that the environment doesn't matter. If you are the type of person that keeps commitments to yourself, that's your identity, then whether or not it's summertime or wintertime or it's a social event, it doesn't matter the environment. I keep commitments to myself, right? Are you becoming the person that you want to be? Are you intentionally aligning your actions, your beliefs about yourself, your feelings, what you're saying, what you're thinking? Are you intentionally aligning all of those? Or are you saying one thing and you're doing something else? Are you out of alignment? Can you even believe what you say, what comes out of your mouth? Because a lot of times people are like, yeah, I'll try, or hopefully I'll be able to. And I'm like, well, who's going to decide? Who's deciding here? You? Because if I get to decide, yeah, I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to be at the gym next week. There's no question in my mind. Now, if something comes up, let that come up, but it hasn't come up yet. And if you're already questioning that, you don't trust yourself, right? So are your actions, your beliefs, your feelings, what you're saying and what you're thinking in alignment? Okay, so we sometimes have to create some rules for yourself. Okay, so when you go out, what are some rules that you can adhere to ahead of time? So, for example, a lot of you guys will adhere to the rule of, I got to start over on Monday. You got to start your diet on Monday. If you mess up on Wednesday, we got to start on Monday. We follow that rule like it's law. No questions asked, right? But you can create rules that actually serve your goals. So thinking about, I like the rule of like never miss twice. So let's say I was supposed to go to work out this morning, which I did, but let's say I didn't. And I didn't go. But I don't miss twice, right? So tomorrow, even though Wednesdays, typically I don't work out on Wednesdays, I'm going to go on Wednesday because I don't miss twice, right? Like that's a rule that serves me. I don't miss twice. Another example, maybe even eating an appetizer or a dessert, not both. So you go out, and my rule, either I'm going to have an appetizer or a dessert. And maybe sometimes you don't need either, right? You just have your actual meal. It's fine. But if I'm going out and I'm going with the purpose of enjoying myself and I know I want one or the other, then I pick one because that's the rule that I made for myself. Another example might be when I work out, I will go straight to the gym instead of going home, right? So if you're coming from work, go straight to the gym versus going home first. Because that's a trap for some of y'all. It's a rule. You just follow that, right? It's part of your identity. It's what you do as a rule for yourself to help yourself become the person that you want to become. Let's see. My PMS snacks tore my stomach up and I stayed on track afterwards. Yes, that happens sometimes. Yes, every time I go into the grocery store. Good point. Yes. Makes a lot of sense. Yes. Okay. So give me some more. What are some rules that you could make for yourself? You can adopt some of mine too. The never miss twice one is kind of a good one. I ain't gonna lie. What are some rules that you could develop for yourself out of utter self-love and out of utter self-discipline? And another thing that she talks about in the podcast is self-discipline is self-love. It is banking and betting on your future self. And I love this, right? It is love for your future self. Because when you make decisions like, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to move my body, I'm going to eat well, not only am I doing this for myself today, but I'm doing this for the future version of myself who needs me to make really good decisions today. That is self-love. Do y'all feel that? I really, really like that sentiment, right? Like thinking of self-discipline, not as restriction or not as like this rigid thing, but like of self-love. Like, I love my future self. I love her, and she deserves for me to show up for her. She needs me, right? Let's see. We talk about reducing the scope but sticking to your schedule. So let's say I don't have an hour to go work out, but I have 30 minutes. And today's Tuesday, today's my workout day. So instead of just skipping it, I'll do the 30 minutes because I'm sticking to my schedule, but I reduce the scope a little bit. Right? So that might be a rule for yourself. I can stick to my schedule even when it doesn't look exactly how I planned it, but I'm going to stick to my schedule. Okay? What are some rules that you guys can adopt for yourself? Here's another example. When I go out to eat, I'll portion half of my food right away. And I really like this one because people, they give you way too many like big portions, but also the food that you have at restaurants have like a whole lot more calories per volume. So if you were to get your plate, in my rule of, I'm going to cut half of everything that I have on my plate, put it in a to-go cup immediately before I even start my meal. And now I just have everything that's half. I can eat my food. And when your brain sees an empty plate, it's like, all right, I'm done. What's another rule? I have limits on my alcohol when I go out. Yep. I have like 3 good drinks. I'm good. I don't need no more drinks. The number one for me, after work, don't go home. Go straight to the gym. Yes. Once I go home, I talk to myself. Yes. And so do you see how, Felicia, we talk ourselves out of what we want all the time? So don't you think you can still use that same strategy, talking yourself into what you actually want? You can totally do it. You've already demonstrated that you have the skill of talking yourself into something or out of something based on what you just said. You have the skill set already. Now you just got to use that to your advantage. Right? Thank you, Tawana. I like your rules. I'm going to use all of them. Okay, no problem. We definitely borrow thoughts around here. I'm a big proponent of that. You can borrow powerful thoughts and powerful guidelines and rules from other people. It's totally fine. Let's see. I'm going to be more intentional with my protein intake. Yes, tracking that protein, Tawana. So a lot of times, like, we'll know what to do. We won't be doing it, but we still want the result of doing it, right? So again, really embodying, like, okay, if I know that I need to be doing something, or if I have a strategy that I haven't tapped into yet and I haven't gotten consistent with, let me tap into that before I say, well, this isn't working, or I need to know something else, right? So guys, I hope this was helpful in terms of thinking about self-discipline. Think about it as a skill that you can learn. I want you to practice showing up as the person that you want to be, and practice making decisions out of your highest and best self. So every decision that you make is either pointing you to your best self or away from your best self, to your goals or away from your goals. So practice being aware that here's an opportunity for me to make a great decision. Here's an opportunity for me to create evidence for my brain that I can do this, that I am self-disciplined. So your job is to go out and create the evidence. Don't just say, I'm not self-disciplined, and that's it. Say, how could I be more disciplined? How could I be more loving to my future self by the decisions that I'm making today? Ask yourself powerful questions and you will create powerful answers. If you ask yourself whack questions, you will get some whack answers. Case in point, why is this so hard? If you ask yourself, why is this so hard? You're going to get all the reasons why it's hard, and none of those are going to help you get out of the hardness. Right? Why do I keep failing? Not a great question. That's not a great question, right? Thinking about yourself as a failure or a quitter or somebody who's not consistent, not great. Never going to help you get to your goal. right? So I need you to start thinking powerful thoughts. This is how you get to self-discipline. You think powerful thoughts. You're going to think yourself into results. You can talk yourself into your result. Talk yourself to go into the gym instead of going home. Because you do it in the opposite and the reverse all the time. Thank you, Tawana. She is amazing. Oh, my son's been. Okay, thank you, Kathy. Now lay your workout clothes at night. Yep. That shows so much intention. Like, and I love that. We've talked about that. Kathy's one of my clients, and we've talked about that. I love that idea because visually, I can see it, right? I can see that, okay, it's just like a trigger. This is a trigger. I see my clothes laid out. I'm about to go and work out. And it sets your intention. I've decided, okay, I'm going to work out in the morning. And then I put some action to that by laying out my clothes. And it lets your brain like buy into it when it's time, because you've already like thought about it and your actions are in alignment. So then when it's time, it's just like, it just makes it a little bit easier. So, all right, y'all, I'm out of here for today. Again, if you're watching, if you end up watching the replay, hashtag replay. If you are on here and you haven't commented yet and you're just like watching, let me know that you're watching live. You can type hashtag live. And again, if you want to work with me, there are 3 ways. You can do the MyFitnessPal makeover, which is a one-time call where I give you your macros and a 6-month blueprint, as well as a video series on how to use MyFitnessPal properly. 2, you can book the 30-day Mind and Body Reboot, which is a mindset and nutrition reboot and challenge. For 30 days, you get inside of my coaching app. And you also get workouts with that as well. And then the final way is getting on the wait list for the Fit Figure Formula, which is my 16-week nutrition and mindset coaching program. And we can talk more about what that might look like. So I hope this is helpful. Don't forget you have homework. Go ahead and wake up one day this week and be really intentional about being the woman that you want to be, and then practice showing up as her, as the competent woman that you are. And continue to practice that. Let me know how it goes. If you do that, let me know how it goes, how it feels. And I would love to hear more about that. So you're welcome. Hey, Adrian. Don't forget to share about the podcast. Yes, I will put that. Thank you for the reminder. I'll put that in the chat. So, all right, y'all. Have a good day.